Hi, and welcome to RedTrack stream number 18. So today we talk about Google Ads conversions, Facebook conversions, how to different systems do the attribution, and we'll talk more about why they're important. Why we talk about those two systems today? Because we are RedTrack, ad tracking and conversion attribution solution. But before we proceed to the topic at hand today, let me get back to the slide and make myself bigger. So, first of all, we start with, we have a lot of people watching us today. Maybe not as many as when we talk about Facebook conversion, Facebook optimization. But anyway, can you hear me loud and clear? Please write yes in the comments so I can make sure that all the sound is properly connected. And meanwhile, we'll share why we decided to talk about Facebook attribution, Google attribution, and a lot of claims and statements going around the two on the web. So recently we got a request from one of the customers who said, hey, I heard other tools saying that they have more accurate attribution compared to Google, and they know keywords that converts when Google doesn't know. So that was a very interesting question, and we decided to dive deep into it and share our views on how Google attributes conversion and why those claims are funny but not true, how Facebook attributes conversion, why sometimes when you have 10 conversions somewhere in your CRM, in your affiliate network, elsewhere, you have, besides those 10 conversions, you have 6 in Google, 5 in Facebook, or vice versa, definitely more than 10. So it can be, but they both claim they got those results. And what role would trackers play in all this? So today it will be pure theory, attribution models, and if you have any questions, feel free to type. As usual, I will try to stick the slides part to about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'll be happy to answer all your questions. So let's jump into the presentation. So first of all, what do we know about attribution? Attribution is the ability to say, okay, these actions resulted in these conversions. So, and there are two ways, which is deterministic. We definitely know that this action resulted in this conversion, and probabilistic. We think that this action, this particular ad click or impression view resulted in this conversion event. And again, right now we'll talk only campaign-based attribution. We'll not touch into cross-device attribution because that's the whole different subject and a little bit more complex than simple campaign or cross-campaign attribution. So no cross-device today, but the approach is basically the same, just on a very different level of complexity. So deterministic attribution is when you have clicks, and those clicks, each of the clicks, they have an ID in the source of the clicks, whatever traffic source of your choice. And then somehow this click ID is saved and delivered or matched with the conversion. So we definitely know that this ID resulted in this conversion, and we can say explicitly and without any doubts, because we know exactly the ID for the click that gave a conversion. This is the click or action that gave desired result, and this is called deterministic attribution because it's determined. There is no probability. It's known for sure because of the matching IDs. And by the way, most of the trackers are using deterministic attribution. That's how they allow this level of precision in attributing conversions. Now there's another model where you have one set of data, like all this set of data, clicks and data about clicks, and then conversions and data about conversions. Whatever this data may be, from a very basic one like digital fingerprints to way more advanced ones, sets of data. In this case, this attribution is probabilistic. So because we know that this set of data, for some reasons set within a particular system, matches this set of data, we think that this is the action that resulted in the conversion, but we cannot be 100% sure. However, in many cases, probabilistic attribution especially at larger scale, gives business viable results when you don't need like 100% precision. It can give you, for example, 99%. That's still good for running your business and getting the results you want. So these two models are working, and surprisingly, the two traffic sources in question today, Google and Facebook, they are, in our opinion, we have not had a chance to talk with their teams, are using different attribution models. So let's start with the Google Ads. And how do we think we know their models? Because RedTrack sends conversions via APIs to both Google and Facebook. And we can compare the results we see in Google and in RedTrack and the requirements for the data we need to send via API for the conversion to be recorded in respective systems. And I'll tell you, the requirements for Google and Facebook are very different. These are the Google requirements. So basically, they want to know Google Click ID, they want to know conversion time, conversion type, and that's basically in separate event category, amount, and currency. And they are good. This is the sufficient information for them to attribute conversions in their system, and that's what we do when we pass conversion data from RedTrack to Google Ads. Now, when you look into the Facebook, I'm not sure if you can see screen, but this is the data points Facebook wants us to send to a conversion API. Of course, not all of them are required. Most of them are nice to have, but look at this. They want to have email, name, last name, date of birth. I mean, a lot of data that has less to do with the conversion or the action that resulted in the conversion itself. So just by comparing these two data sets, we think that Google has deterministic conversion model and Facebook has probabilistic conversion model. But moreover, there is quite a big implication in this, because Facebook is not trying to attach the conversion to the action. Because then Facebook Click ID, here we have, would be sufficient, because Facebook knows all the clicks in their system. And we can give them Click ID, like we did in Google, and they connect all the data. Instead, it comes from the fact that Facebook used to collect all this data with the pixel, and what they do is, if Google matches conversion to the click, Facebook tries to match conversion to a person who made the click. And they use it for multiple reasons, including conversion optimization and also matching conversion to a person, and then analyzing all the other interactions with the ads for the same product may result in something unexpected. When you have ad in RedTrack, for example, with ad say A, but conversion is Facebook attributed to ad say B. Why? Because Facebook determined probabilistically, or maybe they have the hard data for this, we just don't know, that this person actually saw the ad impression from ad set B before making a click that resulted in conversion action and in ad set A. And this is the foundation of a lot of misunderstanding about how those tools work and how they attribute data. So this is Google, this is Facebook. And of course, it also influences on the results that trackers show and how the results from trackers are getting to both systems. And you know what? We have a couple of very simple questions here. Which one is better? Well, we don't know, but we trust that those two systems in questions, they have different logic, different tools or forces or algorithms in play, and they need different data to power the decision making. And moreover, does it really matter? Sorry, I need to quit this. So you cannot switch. Well, you can switch the traffic sources, but you cannot force them to switch the model of attribution. So All you need to know is that Facebook and Google conversion attributions may overlap. And why? We will see in the next part of this very short stream, talking about attribution, when we'll see about the role trackers play. So most trackers, as I mentioned, they use deterministic approach. So whenever a tracker would record the click, it would assign a unique ID to this click, and will then pass this ID from all the system for all the click back and forth, knowing exactly which click resulted in which event. And that's what makes tracking setup complex, because you need to think through all those pass and click IDs from one step to another to ensuring that in the end, this set of matching IDs from different systems result in each part of the system having exact ID for each click and each conversions for all the steps before and after the click. So when click comes to RedTrack from Google, for example, we save this ID, then we send this click further to ClickBank, we pass this ID to ClickBank. When we receive conversions from ClickBank, we match it with the ID in RedTrack, and we use it to match it with the ID from Google, and we use it to send conversion back to Google. So this is the deterministic approach. So that's why usually the data in trackers and, for example, Google, other tools using deterministic approach matches up to campaign ad or at group level, for example. While when you use a tool with probabilistic approach like Facebook, you may have one data in your tracker and different data in Facebook. It's not because Facebook has not received those postbacks. He received them. He processed the postback, but decided not to attribute them to any actions or attribute them to different actions than recorded in RedTrack because of the attribution models. And the same reason is hidden behind why quite often when you run both Google and Facebook traffic, and that's true maybe less for affiliate marketing, more for traditional vendors, when you have 10 conversions or 10 purchases, in the end you can see that Google gave you 6, Facebook gave you 5, vice versa, but the total number of purchases recorded by both systems is higher than your actual result. Why it is happening? Let's rewind to quite an older stream that we made about attribution models and just take a look at this diagram. Those are your very simplified, let's say, lifetime journey through ads of your customers. And they can do Google search, Facebook remarketing, some review websites, Google paid search, and in them they hit the conversion event. And what happens here is that typically you have 2 systems, or 3 or 4 or 5, and each of them independently measures your conversion results. And each of them has its own rules to measure conversion results. Like Google say, okay, we will count last paid click. Boom, this is last paid click. But this is last paid click for them. And this is last paid click for them also, because they may not count affiliate or referral link as last click because they don't pay for it, they don't earn from it. You pay this to affiliates. And Facebook may consider, okay, this was their last impression that actually led to this conversion. So they both have access to conversion data, and they all fight for attributing results to themselves, because then they can get more of your budgets. And that's good, because that's how Google or Facebook earns money. They give them bigger budgets, they give you better results, and in the end it works in your favor, but the results may not be as accurate as you want them to see. And this is the moment, and why we're talking about this now, because those are pixels, and as we all know now, pixels are gonna die. Let's not use die, let's go say sunset this year, finally. And not all pixels, but probably pixels that are used to deliver third-party, or let's call them cross-site tracking technology, like cookies or digital fingerprints. All those types of pixels will be sunset finally with the Google Privacy Sandbox update. But before it happens, we still have those systems battling for conversions and trying to attribute as much result as possible to themselves. And so see, okay, this was conversions from Google paid search, but also, for example, in Facebook. This one was in Facebook, this one was in Google paid search, but maybe your actual result came from referral link, but the very first came from Google organic search. And that's why you need tools that, let's call them ad tracking and conversion attribution. Why? Because on a very basic level, there is just one measurement partner that you have who can measure either your last click conversions or your first click conversions and report results that are relevant to a business, to you, and to traffic sources. And on top of this, they also can show you multi-touch cross-campaign attribution, showing all conversion actions in one place. But like I said, the key part here is that you have one measurement partner. So it's not for Facebook or Google to decide who gets the conversion. You set up the rules for first or last click attribution. That is important for a business. You use deterministic approach based on exact data known to all trackers, because we know the IDs of those traffic sources. We kept them. And moreover, you're not using any third-party cookies or pixels, making this reliable and ongoing solution. And having this single source of truth will at least allow you to get away from the situation when two systems are normally and expectedly fighting for budgets, report totally more conversions than you actually have, and so think, okay, how do you optimize? Where is the truth? The truth is that each of the systems has its own attribution. It's not good or bad, it's how they work. They use the data they collect to give you best results, because we all know that optimization actually works. And you, as a marketer, just need to make sure that you have alternative view on what's going on, and you have your own independent source of data about your campaign performance. So this is it for today. We hope that it sheds some light on the questions how attribution in Google or Facebook works, why it's not possible to know which keyword converted better than Google, because Google actually knows this data, and what everybody else knows is just the click ID that Google sent with the click. So if anybody knows the keyword, it's Google, and what everybody else have is the data that came from Google and all those tracking parameters. One of them is keyword that you can paste in a tracking link. Because when it comes to search results, for example, organic search, you don't even know the keyword unless Google decides to show it to you in Search Console or in connected Google Analytics. So that's question number one. Whether we like it or not, traffic sources know what works better than you do, even with trackers, because they make those decisions on their own attribution models. The best thing you can have with ad trackers is independent single source of truth that allow you to remove the fight for conversion attribution by stopping using pixels from Google and Facebook and using trackers as the way to process this data, consolidate this data, and send it back to, for example, Google and Facebook. So this was it for today. Like I said, we'll make it in 20 minutes for the slides. And I do know that when you talk about, let's say, boring, although I do enjoy the subject very much, attribution things, we don't have many questions. We get way more questions when we talk about running campaigns on Facebook or setting up Facebook as a traffic source. We'll do it next time, I promise. We have a great set of streams coming for the next 2 months. More guests, surprising topics. Please stay tuned. But for now, I'm here and I'm ready to answer all your questions. And let me meanwhile switch the presentation to this. By the way, if you thought that the topic was good and it contributed something of useful, please share in comments what was the most interesting part. It really helps us improve the content and the material we prepare for the next streams. Okay, good. So, would we have any questions today? Because I'll stay here for like a minute more, see if there will be any questions. If not, we will, I will proceed with answering more for the next stream with the topic that generates them. And sometimes my eyes just go there because I'm checking if the questions will pop up in my hint. But they're not popping up. So thank you everybody who are watching us live, people who are watching us in the recording. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. We will still plan to deliver you content, both more generic and serious like this one, and more fun talking about Facebook or Google campaigns and some practical cases, inviting new guests to our improvised virtual studio. For today, thank you everybody. Hope to see you soon in 2 weeks, and we will announce our topic in a week. Enjoy your day. Take care.